Welcome to UV resin number 12. We did have to postpone it in December because I was sick and I kept coughing and I just really couldn't tape it. So here we go, and you're going to see 3 new things and some techniques that will give you more things that you can do with UV resin. So please come play with us. Well, what do you think? That's bright, shiny glitter cardstock with dazzles. And this is our bezel. This is the bezel that has the backing, so that's the kind you want to use. And to make it really easy, we have this patterned sheet that has so many shapes. So that's just going to make it really easy, and that's what we want. So what you'll do is you will take the shape and just kind of whack it out of that sheet. And then I have a piece of the red glitter cardstock. And this is very solid. And so what you do, or what I do, is I go to a straight edge. And as you can see, I've already done this once. And you can tape it to the edge if you want to make sure that you don't wiggle it. And then you're going to cut it out. So just snip it. You do want to go along the lines. You can see that I used this before, and that will work quite nicely. And now the glitter cardstock comes in a package, and I'll show you some of the other colors that we have. But this will just make it so much easier. Although you certainly could take your bezel and lay it on the back of your glitter cardstock, trace around it, and then trim inside that edge. So that will work very nicely too. So there I have my piece. And I'm going to use, this is the Corners Dazzles. And we used this before, but there's just so much you can do with it. So in order to duplicate this one, I'm going to pull it off of right here, upper right-hand corner, and just lift it. And don't worry about being afraid that you're going to tear it, because you won't. And just let it rest for a second as you pull it off the sheet. Now, I like to put my dazzle on my glitter before I put it into the bezel, because my dazzle may be larger. So you can just position it like, however you want. And you can reposition it, by the way. So you don't have to worry. If you get it somewhere and you don't like that, you can just lift it and move it. So that will work just fine. And okay, so I'm going to place this. Probably easier not to do it in midair. So let me just lay this down like so. Now you can see the dazzle is extending off of the glitter. So I'm just going to trim it. And just really simple. And you can, in fact, you can sometimes use the pieces that you trim off. So I've got a little swirl right here. I'm not sure if it's going to work on this one, but if you like, you could, maybe place it again somewhere. And turn it. Okay, I don't think that's going to work this time, but sometimes it does. Let's see. Well, maybe it does. Okay, well, I just added that little curve, and I want to make sure that I get it down flat. So there we go. Well, what do you think? You like that? So you can see it's a little different. Okay, so you can do that. You can cut the pieces apart and place them as you want and let them be right there. Now, the next thing you're going to do is take your resin tape and cut off a piece. And I do, as always, work on my craft mat just because that's going to contain anything. So I'm going to take my bezel and I'm going to position it at the edge of my tape, just so that I have a place for it. Then this is going to go right into my bezel. One other thing that I didn't tell you is that when you cut your glitter, make sure that it will fit in your bezel. Whoops, I just lifted off my little flourish. Oh, darn. Okay. Well, pardon me while I fix my flourish. Okay, there you go. Stay. You want to make sure that your glitter cardstock or whatever you put in is going to fit before you trim off your dazzles. Okay, so that's step one or step two. The other thing I wanted to show you is just some of the other glitters that we have. So red is obviously what I use. I'm going to show you some other colors. This is a blue mix. There's a teal, and oh my goodness, there are just so many. Now you do get several sheets in each package. Okay, there's a pink rose, gold. This is, let me look on the back. It is pistachio green, silver, and regular green. So just a lot. There's also a purple, so just lots of fun things that you can do. Okay, so we're going to get back here, and we're going to do our resin, and it's just going to be as we have always done it. So I'm going to take the cap off. And as always, you just want a thin layer. So I'll bring this in. We will do our regular. So you'll end up probably with 2 layers, and that's just fine because that will, just do a good job of keeping your project nicely done. I think I got a little carried away with the resin. I haven't done it in a couple of weeks. I think I got carried away. But the glitter is just such a beautiful background, and it's so doggone easy, which, a great look and it's easy. That's just 2 things that are high on my list, hopefully yours. So as always, just making sure that this is going to the edges. Now this is a pretty good size bezel, and so it does make a really nice statement. And the nice thing about this is you can do these, excuse me, in so many colors and get so many finishes. And oh, by the way, we do have these corner dazzles in brown also. So if that works for you, you want to take advantage of that. And there are many pieces on this sheet of dazzles. And of course, it seems like other than the resin, everything in using UV resin is $1.99. The bezels, the findings. So that's really kind of nice because you can afford to experiment a little bit. And that's always a good thing to be able to do. So I'm just going around the edge. I want to make sure that it's truly covering everything. And then the next step, is I'm going to do the mighty timer, the light timer. Okay, so it's buried in there. And we will do this and be right back. Okay, now I did have to do that 3 times, and you can see that's just doing nicely. Now I would do another layer, and I would remember to do the flame, although it didn't, there's no bubbles, so it didn't harm me at all. And then I would certainly take it off of the tape. So that's our first one. And let me just show you a couple of other things. Now, here is a circle, and you have the pattern to cut the circle out. And then this time, I laid one of the corner pieces. So it's just right on top. You can see this is also extending out. So same idea, I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to trim off those 2 little pieces and think about if I can use them. So there you go. And the other one. I do like using the 4.5-inch professional scissors. It just gives me nice control. So what do you think? I think that's kind of neat. I'm not going to play with these pieces, but you certainly can. I just want to get these done. Now the same idea, is that it's going to go in here, and you can decide how you want it. You know, maybe you want it to go that way. Now, in this case, the glitter is a little bit smaller than the circle, but you know, I don't think that's a problem because it's just going to have a silver edge. So that's going to work nicely. So I think that's pretty. Blue and silver is always a good combination. Now, here is the teal. Now, with the teal, isn't that pretty? In a square gold, it's this area. So I just pulled off those four corners and the center area. And isn't that striking? Okay, and I just thought it'd be fun to show you. This is using that same piece, but turned the other way, and this is obviously on a pink glitter. Now, there are tons of colors of glitters. I've shown you several of them, but if you have maybe you've got an outfit that's a different color, maybe kind of a hard color, and you find a piece of cardstock. Well, we also have clear glitter sheets. Now, these have the glitter embedded, come on, in the acetate. So what you can do is just lay this on top of your cardstock, then trim it out and go to town. So that's nice. The other thing, like I said, this is just really a fun thing that you can do. In Dazzles, we have tons of them, hundreds literally. There's butterflies that you could do. There's bigger butterflies. You can see I have already used a couple of them. There's snowflakes in teal, snowflakes in silver and blue. Just so many things. Now, we have done some of them in some of the shows on this our UV resin. So just to give you some ideas. So this is one thing that you can do with it. So I'm going to scoot this aside and show you the next idea. And the next idea is on earrings. And here I'm going to set this into the foam just so that you can see it. Now this is using white glitter, and it is using a Dazzle. But the Dazzle gets colored, and let me show you how that happens. So I've got silver and gold tiny flowers, and in figuring out how to do this pink, because we used to have these in pink, but we don't anymore, so I needed to find something else. I was trying to do a highlighter, but the highlighter is just kind of blah. It didn't do very well. So my next process was to go to the tri-blend markers. Now, these are an alcohol ink, and you get 3 colors, which is really nice. So this has, let me show you, dark, medium, and light. So I did the dark one and just colored over that flower. In fact, I'll color over another flower, leaving it on the backing sheet. And that's all you do. It's just like that. So that's the dark. The medium is in the middle of the barrel. So there you go. That's all you do. Now, if you wanted to, you could go back, let it dry a couple minutes and go back and do another layer of color. That's fine. And here is the light one. So they're all in the same shade or same color of pink, but different shades. Now, just to see what it would do, I did the exact same thing on the gold. So the gold got a little more intense, I think. So you got your choice. And these are little, which means they're going to fit nicely into our earring. So again, like I said, this is using white glitter, just like that. Oh, so pretty. And you're going to use your shape. Cut it out of the glitter, do the exact same process. Now, the only thing that's different in this when you're doing the earrings, in fact, any of the earrings, whether they're the regular kind or these post, is that you'll want to put them into the something that they can poke into. This just happens to be a piece of styrofoam. So the way I would suggest is get your tape and trim it out. Obviously, you don't need very much. Place it on your foam, and then stick this puppy in. Maybe easier said than done, because that is plastic. Okay, there you go. And set it in. This way, when you do your resin, it will be flat, and that's exactly what you want. And it's the same process. You'll do your glitter and place your dazzle on it, color your dazzle, and it could be any color. You know, I used pink, but you can do any color. And then do your layers of resin. And I want to turn this on its side so you can see. You see that slight dome? Well, the resin will dome naturally. And so that's why you want to have 2 thin layers, okay? So that will work nicely. And just do that, and that works well. Okay, I have one more trick to share with you. And I will tell you, I worked on this. This is probably my 4th attempt. And I had it in my mind of what I wanted. It was just hard to make it happen. So what I ended up doing is needing the tweezers. And there's my bezel. So I'm going to get my tape again. You know, there are a few things that you do with every bit of resin, and tape is one of them. Come on, come on, tape, where are you? Yes, there we go. Okay, so here's my tape. Now we do have squares of tape, and we also have rolls, so your choice. Okay, now as you know, you're going to take your bezel and put it at the end of your tape and make sure that it is really firmly attached. Okay, so just press. Okay, now you're going to do 1 layer of the resin. So let me get that started. But I want to make sure that that's really, yeah, nicely attached. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 layer, thin layer, Paulette. Okay. Yes, sometimes it's helpful to talk to yourself, you know, whatever it takes. I do see a bubble. I will try very hard to remember to do the flame. And Jeanette is doing the camera, and so sometimes after I've put it under the light, she goes, "You didn't do the flame," and it's too late. Okay, I'm going to turn this around. And that's why, I mean, that's obviously you have to use the tape with an open bezel, but I also use it on closed bezels because it just lets me move this around without any problem. And that works nicely. Okay. Okay, so just again, and I did a good job, proud of myself. My layer is thin. And so that's nice. So what would happen, and I have examples that I didn't bring, but when I would try to do this, is the hearts would shift. And that was very frustrating, as you can imagine, because there are a lot of hearts on this piece. And I really wanted them perfectly aligned. And I needed to figure out what could hold it. Now, maybe you have already figured out my brainstorm, and if you have, good for you. But you weren't around when I was figuring this out. So, okay. So it looks to me like that's doing a nice job of filling the bezel. Okay. And we'll turn this around, and remembering to bring in the flame. And this is just, you know, one of those fire starters that you get at the grocery store. You do lay it against the resin, which just seems wrong when you get started on this, but it's not wrong. Okay. Now, I don't see any bubbles. This is going to go under my light. And while it's under my light, I want to share with you what I ended up using. And I use, this is called extra sticky tape. It comes in 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. I'm using 1/4 inch. And then this are the conversation hearts. So I put them in a Ziploc baggie after I get them open, and just spread them out, because you're going to want, as you can see, three colors. You're going to want the red, kind of this pink, and then white. And I've already done the math for you. So 3 rows of red, 2 rows of pink, 2 rows of white. You need 3 of each. Now, these are made out of polymer clay. And with polymer clay, they do a big roll, and then they slice it. And so you're going to get some that will be different sizes. So you want to get the ones, in fact, it looks like these two, that's a good example, that they're very different. So whatever size you want to get 3 of them. So you go through your hearts and just separate out the ones that will work, okay? So I'm going to try to get these. Yeah, that would have been smart to have gotten that before I started this, wouldn't it? But no, I didn't do that. Okay, so those are going to be just my first row, and that's what I'm going to start with. And I'm going to slide this over. Now, these needle nose tweezers are going to be very, very helpful. So just want you to know that. And there are a gazillion hearts in that package. In crafting, we often use them for shaker cards. They're also, you can put them on any type of paper craft, and that's nice too. So that's another option. Okay, I think my light is done. So let's see if this is ready, and it is. Good. Now, I'm going to take my tape, and I'm going to need 2 pieces, but I'm just going to do one to begin with, and they're kind of in the center of the bezel. So let me get this cut. Everything we do is sticky, isn't it? Let's see. The idea is to cut it to size. And this, you see the red liner? We're going to pull that off in a minute. But first we want to get it into the bezel. So you just want to have it fit. So here is one. I'm laying it right there. Okay, one down, one more to go. And you can get the extra sticky tape, obviously, at paperwishes.com. There is one roll that is a supersized roll, and then there's a smaller roll. So if you're just doing it for jewelry, probably the smaller roll will work just fine. Now, you want them to be next to each other, but not overlapping at all. Okay, and just trim to fit. Like so. Okay, now I'm going to go press it in. Then I'm going to go in and remove that liner. And the liner is just going to lift off. And I don't know if you heard that, but Jeanette chuckled, because sometimes, especially when you're doing this on camera, it is resistant. But what you do, it's a kind of counterintuitive. You actually press it down harder, and then it will lift off. Just like, come on, lift off, just like I said. Don't. There we go. That's one layer. And here is the second layer. I don't think you would want to remove the liner before you put it in, because it's very thin tape, and you really want to get it down there. It does help to have fingernails, or you also have those tweezers, which have a really nice point on them. See what it's doing? It's just holding on to it. Okay, so that is in place. Then you can set about doing your hearts. And with the tweezers, you can see, in fact, let me bring this in. You can see that they're just straight, or you can just drop them like I just did and place them. So because there are 3 across the top, there's one in the middle and then one on each side. I kind of just do them one at a time. Oh, come on. I don't know about you. I think it helps to talk to your project just to, you know, make sure it knows who's in charge. There we go. And you can, you know, tweak them a little bit. Now I'm doing this at a slight angle because I'm not directly overhead. It makes it a little bit harder. If you have it at home, it's going to be easier for you. Okay, they do almost touch. They might touch just depending on the size of heart you got. So that's okay. So get it positioned and then just push it down so that it will stay there. Okay, so you want it even across the top, which this one isn't, so I'm going to scoot it down. And you want it straight. Okay, almost. And you can see I can kind of smoosh it. I can scoot it. Now, and then it will grab the extra sticky tape. So you just continue. Now I have to confess as I'm looking at this, I did start at the bottom and go up. You can start at the top and go down, it doesn't make any difference. They, you'll notice they are not touching each other or top and bottom. They each have kind of space around them. And then after that is all done, then you put your next layer of resin, and that's probably your final layer. And you can see on this one how it's just nice and smooth. I didn't try to dome it. I just wanted it encapsulated. And you will definitely want to put a flame on it because you want to make sure that there aren't going to be any bubbles between those hearts. But I was quite proud of this, I have to tell you, because I made it happen the way I wanted it to happen. And I've never seen anybody else talk about that extra sticky tape being used, but I was delighted that it worked. And it does look a little milky on the back, but you know, from the front, I think it does a good job of being transparent. So I have nice things to share with you. So you now can do this project. You can do this one. Might as well set that together. And you can also do the glitter bezel in colors just to make everything look spectacular for the new year. So that's what we have. There is a money saver. It's on the right side of your screen. Down below, you can click on any of the projects. You'll see the materials that I used. And down below, you'll also see everything that we used on all of it, including the light and the resin and all of it. So I wish you a happy new year, and I hope you have fun playing with UV resin. You can imagine I certainly have. If you are watching this on YouTube, give it a go. This is a fun craft. It's also quick to do, which I really like, and that's fun to have, and makes great gifts. And you can do this with older children. My 12-year-old granddaughter has been doing it with me while she was 11 and 12, and she has absolutely had a wonderful time. So I share that with you. And I hope that you on YouTube will like us, that you will subscribe, give us a comment, let me know what you think, and have fun playing with UV resin. And thank you so much for being part of our Paper Wishes family. Bye-bye.